To another episode of Monster Bass Live. I haven't seen you guys in a few weeks, been traveling, and so I'm really excited to be here. We got a great show for you today. We're going to be joined by Greg Vinson. If you don't know him, I don't know where you've been. I mean, he's got 23 top 10 finishes. He's made over $1 million fishing. So, I mean, if you've got questions about this stuff, he's probably your guy. I can point you in the direction of the lake. He'll point you in the direction of the fish. So he's probably going to be a good guest tonight because the alternative was Jared. Now, not that I don't love Jared, but he's on every episode. He sits behind the scene here, and thank God he's here because when something goes wrong, I've got someone to blame. We're going to talk a little bit about this month's box. It's a really good one. It's interesting. When we put together boxes like this, immediately everyone stands on the soapbox, goes to social media, and starts telling everyone whether they like it or not. And I take it so personally. It's so hard not to because it's like we work so hard to put together these great boxes, and then someone will stand up and be like, "Oh, this bait sucks." And I'm like, what sucks about it? Like, it's a really good brand. It's a really good bait. It's got great hooks, great components, but you've never heard of it, and so you're going to tell me it sucks. And it's my own problem, right? I probably need to spend another session on the couch with my therapist talking about this stuff because at the end of the day, I mean, I shouldn't let my self-worth be defined by your opinion. I know I'm putting together a darn good box because there's more people saying good things than bad things, and as long as I'm pretty happy with it, hopefully you guys are too. Yeah, so it's been an interesting month. I wasn't here a couple weeks ago. I flew to New York. I went to the Hamptons, and I spent some time with one of my friends. And then because I was there, I had to go up to Syracuse, and it actually coincided with the MLF tournament that was up in Cayuga. And it was a nightmare getting to Syracuse. My flight gets canceled. So then I'm like, I'll just rent a car. No cars, no buses, no trains. There's no flights. They put me on a flight 2 days later. I'm going to miss the event that I was going to. And get this. So I'm sitting at LaGuardia, and I book a flight. I find one flight, but it's at JFK. So I hop in an Uber. And on the way from LaGuardia to JFK, I booked the flight. I'm like, sweet. Got the last flight of the day, JetBlue. Never flown JetBlue. And I walk into JFK, walk right up to the counter, and all of a sudden my phone rings, and it's JetBlue canceling my flight. I haven't had this flight for more than 2 minutes, and it's already canceled. I was a pretty happy guy. I was a lot of fun to be around. Really, I just looked at it as the universe was really testing me, and I couldn't figure it out. And so I sat there on the steps, and I was like, what am I going to do? I got to get to Syracuse, right? Because my son's flying across the country from L.A., and I got to pick him up. And I can assure you his mother wouldn't be too happy if he flew across the country and I wasn't there to pick him up. And so I sat there and I thought, like, what should I do? And I was like, well, hold on. I'm a Hertz Gold member. Normally when you rent a car, you just walk in and take it. So I walked into Hertz. I walked right past everyone, right into the parking lot, went into a car, threw my bag in, took the car, drove to the exit, and hope and prayed for the best. And thankfully I had a really nice lady, and she's like, all right, fine, you can take the car. And I was like, oh, thank God. I made it to Syracuse at 2:30 in the morning. But enough about my travels. I'm glad to be back, and we're going to get back onto a regular routine because I missed you guys, and as always, I look forward to chatting with you guys and whatnot. So, so let's talk about this month's box. It's a great one. A lot of good baits in there. It's funny. In case I haven't said it again lately, or at least in a couple episodes, Rafi's gone. So now I'm doing his job. And, he put a lot of effort into these books. It's a 20-page guidebook that we put together on all the baits. And we produce some really amazing videos. Like, when I think about the videos that we produce, I would go out on a limb and say they're better than, the production value on these is better than anything I've seen, Bass, MLF, Wire to Fish, any other media outlet that there is. And I'm not knocking any of them. I'm just saying, I'm touting the quality of the content that we put together. I think that, this month we had Paul Glass, We had Debo. I mean, we even had Ned. I mean, who doesn't like Ned? We had Chad Hoover. You know, these guys are pretty good sticks. I mean, Chad Hoover's given the Hall of Fame induction speech at Bass Pro Shops tomorrow. I mean, he knows a thing or two. And, you know, we take a lot of time and effort to put together these guidebooks so that, you know, you guys can get the most out of it. Because at the end of the day, I want to help you catch more fish. And I'm coming out with my PB guarantee, which we'll talk about another time. But let's jump right into this. And, you know, we got a bunch of baits in here. But the one we're going to talk a little bit about today is from a brand called Netbait. American Baitworks. They make some great products, and that's why we got Greg here. So before we jump into this, don't forget the phone lines are open. They're going to be open. Not yet, Jared. The phone lines are going to be open, and I want you to ask questions, right? Because, you know, I'm shy, and I don't like, you know, I'm not the best angler on the planet. I'm the third best, and so Greg's better than me, and so I don't like to ask questions of people better than me, so I need you guys to call in a little bit. As always, we got a great show. Our sponsor, Liquid Death, keeps me hydrated with the water. But let's not waste any time. We got an hour, and we're going to be respectful of his time. So all the way from Alabama, let's give a big warm welcome to Greg Vinson. How's it going, man?
What's up, Rick? How's it going, man?
It's going all right. It's going all right. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, dude. Glad to be here. I wanted to learn more about this PB guarantee I'm hearing about. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we have this thing called Monster Bass Monday, and every Monday people send in pictures of their PB. And I would make the argument that I probably have the largest library of PBs on the planet. And all we ask is tell us what you caught your PB, tell us what you caught it on, where you caught it, and we'll feature you. And it's my belief that we give you everything that you need to become a better angler. And so if you stick with us for a year, you know, you get the baits, you watch the videos, you participate, you do all the things that we need you to do. It's my belief that in a year's time you're going to catch yourself a new personal best. And if you don't, I'm going to give you your money back.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. It's been a while. I caught my PB in a tournament. It was a Bassmaster Open several years ago, and I've been trying to beat it for a while. It was pretty cool. Both of my biggest bass ever were in a tournament.
How big?
And I got to weigh them in, but it's been a long time, so I'm ready. I thought Lake Fort maybe this year. I saw what would have been my PB there the last time we were there, but I couldn't catch it.
Yeah.
And but my roommate got his. He caught one that was 11-11, I think. Bradley Roy caught 11-11. It's giant. So, yeah, I'm waiting for that moment. You know, it takes a special fishery to do that.
It does.
You know, when you've been fishing that long, you got to go where they live.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, we hit one of those. When you go there, you know, this is where they live. You know.
That's amazing. Yeah, we just literally someone just sent me. This is Hannah Struther. She just sent me a picture. She caught a 10.7 pounds. So she's
giant.
She's in the double digit club. She might even be on here. Who knows? Oh, actually she is. 706 Fishing. I see her online. She got her PB this week, double digits. So congrats to her. She's once again doubling me up because, you know, my PB is only 5'1". So but it's a smallmouth. I mean, if I feel like I got to qualify that.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. It took me a long time to catch a 5-pound smallmouth because I'm from Alabama.
Right.
You know, I've got to travel. We've got some in North Alabama, but you know, it's a little different fishing for the smallmouth in Alabama than when we go up north. You know, we go to northern smallmouth actually act a lot like the spotted bass do here around the house.
Sure.
So I do better to fish for spots around the house than I would be to go to North Alabama and fish for smallmouth before I go to a tournament up north. So it's kind of cool like that.
Sure. Where in Alabama are you?
I'm in central Alabama. So, you know, of course I've got a nice accent and we go all over the country and people hear me talk, you know, especially the last tournament, Cayuga in New York. And they're like, you know, first thing they ask you, so where you're from. So to have a little fun, I just tell them I'm from LA. And And I always get a funny look, you know, and I was like, pretty quick, I tell them that means lower Alabama for
Sure.
me. So,
Sure. Right on. Right on. So how'd you do in Cayuga?
oh man, I was so excited. I was so jacked for that event. You know, we had a long break. I think almost 2 months in between um, Lake of the Ozarks, I guess, and then Cayuga. No, Watts Bar and then Cayuga. But it was
Right.
2 month layoff. And man, I'm a guy. I can't get enough fishing. I want to fish, 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 fish. I've always been like that since I was a kid. So, you know, by the time we got to Cayuga, man, I was just over prepared, I think. And no, I've been there before. It's such a good fishery. And got a little deal going in practice. The deep fish were funny, man. They weren't biting in practice.
Really?
You know, I've been there before and we knew they were out there. You know, they're out there on the outside grass edges. I mean, you know, that's where it's going to go down. As it turned out, of course, the smallmouth were kind of a sleeper there for this one. And man, I was so pumped because you can catch them under docks. You can catch them in a foot of water.
Mm-hmm.
You can catch them in the mid-range stuff on little rocky shelves, you know, in between little inside grass edges. And you get on the outside edge and catch them pretty good too. And that's usually where the magic happens in August. And but man, they wouldn't show themselves. You know, you were seeing fish on the graph. They wouldn't do anything. You know, you get a bite here, a bite there, but it just, you know, nothing that was like, hey, this is it. You know, and then I'm like, I know I'm fishing stuff that's right. I mean, this stuff is right. You know, it's good grass. It's got a good edge. It's got a hard spot mixed in. I'm marking fish. I got perch chasing my bait. You know, it's like this is it. And I get one bite. You know, and I'm like, look, this is gonna cut it. You know, and I like to fish shallow. I love fishing docks. And you know, that first day of practice, about 10:30, 11 o'clock, I went and hit a couple of docks, and man, it was on. Like they were there. Big ones too. You know, they were good ones. You know, 4 and 5 pounders. And I feel like I kind of got led down a rabbit hole. You know, I don't know what happened with the dock fish. I noticed, you know, that last day Andy caught them pretty good again on the docks. But something happened, man, and it totally switched. And you know, I was hearing it from a lot of guys from practice. They were like, "Man, it's not happening," and just not getting many bites. You know, it's Cayuga, it's loaded.
Sure.
And that first day of the tournament, I was Group B. You know, in Major League Fishing, we have two groups: Group A, Group B. So I didn't fish that first day, but we can look at Score Tracker. We can't watch what's going on, you know, as far as how the guys are catching them, where, and all that stuff. But you can watch the Score Tracker. And man, that first hour, like that Score Tracker lit up, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm screwed. You know, either they're chewing or I'm screwed. One of the two.
Right.
And as it turned out, they were biting. They just, for something happened, and those fish lit up. And long story short, man, I put too much stock in those shallow fish. We were fishing on the weekend. There was a lot of folks out on the docks. You know, it was just busy. And even some stuff that didn't involve docks, it was super shallow. It just wasn't happening. But as much as that turned off, that offshore bite turned on. And I dug such a hole that first day, man. And you know, by the end of the day, literally I hooked a fish with a minute and 20, didn't even know if it was a bass on one waypoint where I got one bite. It was just blowing through my waypoints where I had the few bites offshore. Got to it, panned out there with my live scope, looked out there, saw the tops of the grass, a few fish in there, pitched a drop shot out there, watched it go down.
Yeah.
And bumped it a couple of times and boom, you know, I felt one hit it. I mean, and I know I'm running out of time, you know. And I set the hook and it just, you know, spinning reel. And it just loads up, and I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of pickerel in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, we got a big pickerel, or I got a big bass. My boat official, the first thing I hear is, you got a minute and 20. Ooh. You know, and a minute and 20 sounds like a long time, but with a big fish on 8-pound test cigar, Tatsu, it's like, and this fish was mad at the world, man. And I fought it, and I had to put a little more heat on it than I wanted to. You know, I thought I was going to break it off. But I got my hands on that fish with 15 seconds left. And, you know, it was kind of a bad day, but it ended well with that. By far, that was my biggest fish that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? My next day out, that's where I'm going to start. And something's going on. These fish are turning on a little bit. There may be more here. Next day out, I went out, and I didn't catch a great weight.
Yeah.
But you know, I think I had 35 pounds total with our format, which is above average. And that – even at Cayuga. And, the biggest thing for me was I've had a good season. I think I went into that tournament 15th in the points.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at that point where, you're trying to make Red Crest, top
Right.
40 to make Red Crest. And you kind of know how many points you need, what it's going to take. And so that qualifying day, I wasn't able to catch enough to move into the cut, but I did catch enough to mathematically make Red Crest. So that was, I came home, tail tuck, no check. But that was a big day for me. Even though I didn't have a great tournament, that was a big day to come back, catch a good weight, move back up in. I should be, mathematically, I'm locked into Red Crest. So that was a moral victory, and I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be a good one. So, but man, that lake is just so good. It's so full of fish, smallmouth, largemouth, good quality. I mean, every time you get bit, it's 2 to 4 pounds plus.
Sure.
It's just a fun place to fish when you got it going on.
So how much did that play into what you were throwing? Like, you may not win Cayuga, but you're trying to mathematically make the cut because you want to get into Red Crest. So what did that do to your psyche, and how did that affect what you were throwing that day?
Well, I tried to fish kind of big and kind of power fish, and I knew the crankbait bite was going to be a thing there.
Mm-hmm.
It always has been on that outside grass edge, and but I was kind of mad at the fish because they didn't show themselves when they needed to. So I ended up finding a couple of pretty good areas the first day of practice and went through some juice. I mean, as it turned out, I think it was better juice than I realized. Looking at who caught them. But they just weren't. It just wasn't firing that day in practice, and they didn't show. So I only got 2 bites where I should have been getting literally 15 or 20. But I tried to power fish with the crankbait. As it turned out, guys like Wheeler, several guys, the crankbait thing ended up kind of panning out. And you can cover some water, and those fish are firing. You can light them up with a crankbait when they're doing that.
Sure.
But going into that second day, I'm like, hey, look, we gotta salvage something here. We can't go out here and screw this up. Where the stuff they're on. There's no huge secrets. I mean, I knew the smallmouth thing was kind of a factor, but I had pretty much said, hey, I'm not fooling with the smallmouth. It's too risky. I'm going into a tournament that, I need to do something that sets up for me.
Nice.
And I had caught some fish on a drop shot in the first day that I couldn't get to bite the crankbait. And I was like, these fish have been pressured. They got hammered by Group A. I mean, they got lit up the first day. So I already know I'm dealing with pressured fish. And so it just seemed, for some reason, that drop shot, man, it's something they, at times when they just, it's kind of like the small swim baits we'll talk about a little bit, but it's one of those things where as much as they've seen, they still can't turn it down.
Sure.
The beauty of, using the electronics that we have is a lot of times you can tell the quality of fish you're dealing with. You just got to get him to put his mouth on it, and,
Sure.
And that's where, the drop shot comes in handy. And there was just something about that bait being up off the bottom. One of the little tricks that I learned, some of the viewers can take to note is, as the day went on, I rigged up several drop shots, and I kind of experimented with leader length, and it makes a difference. And one thing I noticed, especially with live scope, is I can see my bait when it hits the bottom. I got my leader length a little longer than I normally use, so I probably got it out to about 14 to 16 inches where I normally am, maybe 10, 11,
Sure.
something like that. And when it hit the bottom, I could see that bait sitting right above the top of the grass.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. MLF probably cut in and said, we're not letting him take all those secrets and give them to Monster Bass. All right. Well, guys, while we're sitting here, I hope you guys are, having a great live. He's coming back right now.
All right, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah, MLF decided to cut in, and they didn't want you giving away all your secrets.
I was giving away too many secrets. Right. So did you get the leader length?
14.
Yeah, that leader length made a big difference. It's having that bait sitting right above the top of the grass. And when I did that, it seemed like I started catching more fish. I got more efficient by doing that. So, it's, you're dealing with pressured fish. Sometimes you got to downsize, and especially if you know the fish you're dealing with, or the fish you need, the tournament quality fish, whether it's a 5 fish deal or a 2 pound minimum like we had.
Sure.
You just got to come up with a way to get those fish to put their mouth on it.
What you fished both tours, so
Yeah.
tell me, like, from a mental point of view, what's the difference in the way that you fish or you think about the tournament when compare a 5 fish limit versus like MLF?
I think it changed a lot when we got away from the 1 pound minimum. I like that for cups because you're just dropped in a lake. You have no clue. And pretty much any practice, you start with just trying to get bit. You're trying to get some feedback from the fish, where they're set up, what kind of baits they're on. And then, a 5 fish deal, you start up in the ante and trying to figure out how to produce those quality bites, enough quality bites to have a good 5 fish limit. In our deal, during that process, you're looking at, how many scorables am I catching? How much damage am I doing with each bite that I get? And you're weighing you're kind of weighing the odds. Am I getting enough 2 pound plus fish bites to be at the top, or am I getting fewer bites, but they're 3 to 5 pounds. So every time I get one, it's a 2-for-1 special kind of thing.
Sure.
And so you just adapt your strategy to the format. I didn't change a whole lot about how I fished as far as practice. I'm still looking to get bit, trying to figure out where the fish are, what they're feeding on, what I've got to do to get bit. And then I'm trying to generate those quality bites. You don't in our format, you don't want to play around that scoreable bass thing because it never fails. You think if say it's a 2 pound minimum, and you're like, oh, that one's over 2 pounds, that one's over 2 pounds. You get in the tournament, all of a sudden it's like they turn into 114s, 115, right, and you're kind of screwed. So you want to be catching just like a 5 fish tournament. You want to be getting some good quality bites mixed in. And also there's that carrot dangling there of heavy hitters. Sure. With our deal. And I tell you, I'm tired of missing heavy hitters. I haven't made it, and I've had good seasons, but when I had the chances to get those big licks, like on Lake Fork and those big fish lakes, sure, I didn't get those 7, 8, 9 pounders that I needed to put a big dent in making heavy hitters. So that's always in the back of your mind now with our format is you got to get quality. I looked at like our format at Cayuga. There were guys, if you look at the number of fish they caught, one guy was catching more fish, but another guy was catching fewer fish, but he had more overall weight because he was targeting quality fish. So, all right, hang on. Let me quiet down these wild Indians. I got two friends, and they're having a bark off. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure. If they only saw Bauer, I mean, he's sitting here on the floor right now. But I mean, if he's not biting people, he's eating the mail. And I said it. My dog bites people. I probably asked Jared 3 times on Saturday if he wanted me to put him down because he was biting. He's 9 pounds though. All
right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
These 2 dogs are crazy, man. Anyway, that's a story for another day. But
my dog eats the mail every single day.
Yeah.
9 pounds, eats the mail every single day.
Each other every single day. They're like siblings. They just go off on each other for no reason because they're bored.
Yeah. So at what age did you know that I'm going to give this a go and I'm going to try and become a professional angler?
Man, I was old by today's standards. These guys coming out of college fishing, high school and college fishing, I was broke, man. I played ball in college. I was broke when I got out of college.
Did you play baseball?
I played baseball, yeah. But, I grew up fishing. I grew up on Lake Martin, and fishing's my true love. It's like I just never could get enough of it. I was totally content sitting down there fishing off the dock for 8 hours, by myself. And but when I joined the club when I got out of college, and I joined the same club that my dad was in. I was younger. I'd go to the club meetings. I'd sit in the back while they were doing the club meeting stuff and the pairings and all that. And I'd sit back there and do my homework, but I always thought, man, that would be cool, on a Fish in the Bass Club. And it was just like a runaway train, man. I got in the club and I was so driven, being a former athlete, being competitive, but then, loving fishing so much. I couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't learn enough. I couldn't read enough.
Mm-hmm.
And, I started doing good, man. I won the club like my first full season, and just fishing with guys that these guys were studs, man. They've been fishing these lakes around here for years. They knew all the little tricks.
Yeah.
The tournaments, I got to fish out of the back of the boat with these guys, so I learned a lot from them. And but yeah, I had a job with the state, and I like to say it was a little bit of divine intervention, whatever.
Yeah.
But they allowed me to take leave without pay to go fish. Back then, it was the Stren Series. Now I guess it's Toyota Series. Been a few different things.
Yeah.
And so I took off down to this Stren Series to Lake Okeechobee, and I didn't know what was up. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just knew it was something I wanted to try, man. And the last 15 minutes of my first day of that was my first true professional event. I caught a 10-pounder out of a mat and put it in the boat and had just enough time to run back, to weigh in. And the rest is history. I've lived every year like that. Let's just see what's going to happen. I'm going to give it everything I've got. I'm passionate. I'm going to do my part, and let's let the chips fall where they may. And
nice.
I've been doing it a long time.
Nice.
Since I've been really, really blessed.
Well, we've got. I see T-Rex is on hold. He's calling in. I bet he's got a tournament question. But before we take a call from T-Rex, let's talk about one of the baits in the box this month. Let's talk about the little Spanky from NetBait. Tell me a little bit about this bait. How do you like to throw it? Let's put it up here for everyone to see.
We should have called that the little gamer, because that thing just flat catches fish. It's so versatile. I know there's a lot of small finesse swim baits out there. That we've had that little Spanky for a few years.
Sure.
We had it before forward facing sonar hit the market, and I was catching a lot of fish on it before I started using forward sonar. Mm-hmm. But you can imagine, you put that on a jig head. One of the tips I'll give your viewers is learn to tie a loop knot, especially now you're dealing with suspended fish. If you're going to rig it on a jig head, what that does is as you retrieve that bait, it's going to fall at different depths. It's going to fall down. And as you retrieve it, it's going to sit horizontal throughout the retrieve, no matter how close it is to the boat. So I don't know if you can picture that, but just by tying that loop knot instead of a regular Palomar or whatever knot you tie, mm-hmm. That's going to give it a real natural presentation all the way back to the boat on a jig head. That I catch a lot of smallmouth. I catch a lot of the spotted bass here around the house doing that. And but also, I had a top 10 finish in Florida, of all places, on an underspin last year with a little Spanky on it. So, it's one of those things that if the fish are eating shad that are some kind of shaddy looking minnow, sure, that's in that smaller size range, which predominantly that's what they eat. They don't chase these big shad. Normally they're getting a mouthful of little shad, and it just matches the hatch. It's a great vibrating jig trailer. It's a great, for people that like to use a single style trailer. A lot of times I use more double, like the Mini Kick and Bee or the Pocket Chunk for my swim jigs. But I know in certain places they like to use just a single tail swim jig trailer. It's a good option for that too.
Yeah, I would think that in a finesse situation, like almost like on a Willow Vibe, like from Z-Man, like this would be a great little trailer.
It's so versatile. And it just matches what they eat. Mm-hmm. Probably 80-90% of the time they're eating an easy meal, a smaller shad.
Sure.
And it'll catch big fish. We're like right now we're getting into the late summer, early fall. Mm-hmm. That's a huge deal around here, is matching the hatch. You'll have fish that are schooling on the surface, blowing up bait fish, and you can't get them to bite anything. And then all of a sudden, you get that right size bait, and you go in a step further, getting the color right, and all of a sudden you start catching these fish that you were watching school that wouldn't bite anything just because you got it right. And that bait, that's what led me to try it in Florida. In that tournament was I was dealing with some fish that were schooling on bait, and I could see there were some big ones in there.
Sure.
I couldn't get them to bite. I went through everything, all the normal Florida stuff, the trick worms, the Cinco type stuff, the cross, vibrate jigs, everything. I couldn't get them to bite anything. Other guys had tried this area, and for some reason, I grabbed that underspin and put the little spanky on it, and it was like a light switch. And I started catching them, and not just scoreable bass. I mean, I caught some 6-pounders.
Wow.
So it was just a matter of getting matching the hatch.
Huh. All right. I think that alone should get you guys to at least like hit that like button. I mean,
yeah.
After all. All right, let's not keep T-Rex waiting any longer because I see him in the hold. Let's take a call from T-Rex. I'm sure he's going to have some questions worthy. What are you doing, buddy?
Well, I just going through tackle and getting ready to go fishing this weekend. Getting ready the 1st, September 1st for dove season. But I'm already ready for that. Greg, how you doing?
Good, T-Rex. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. Just staying busy. I had a couple different questions I was going to ask you, but I seen one, 706, Hannah. She's been killing it this year. She wanted to know, she wanted to hear some advice on how you would break down a lake for the first time being there.
Man, I get that question a lot, because, I was telling Rick, when I first started fishing professionally, all of a sudden I went from fishing lakes that I fished my whole life here around the house to lakes I'd never seen before. And you always draw from those elements of the lakes that you know best and how those fish act. But every time you go somewhere new, there's a little different nuance that you got to adjust to. But the biggest thing is for tournament fishing is knowing the seasonal patterns, what those fish, and I call the pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn to me are almost 3 different seasons, and sometimes they overlap. But you look at those as 3 different seasons and really try to understand, first where the fish should be, what areas would they choose based on the conditions, and then look at what the lake has to offer. I've got a lake here that I grew up on. It's a Highlands lake, deep, clear, not a lot of current, not a lot of cover. And those fish will act totally different than the Alabama River here around the house, where it's a little dirtier. There's a lot of current. There's a lot of wood cover. Those fish are, heavy current related. So the next thing you want to look at is the type of lake that you're going to. Figure out if it's a Highlands lake, if it's a grass lake. That's really a type lake all of its own. If it's got aquatic vegetation, submerged, like hydrilla milfoil. A lot of those, if it's a grass lake, a lot of them fish the same. If it's like here in Alabama, we have the reservoirs where you've got hydropower, you got current, this dictated by when they turn the water on. If you're going to one of those type lakes, you want to know, when they generate current. So you really want to learn as much as you can about the fishery you're going to, what type of lake it is, what the water color is like, and build off of that seasonal pattern, what you think the fish will be doing. Then you start working on your baits. You build your bait profiles around what you think you can get the fish to bite, what you think they're feeding on. We talked about matching the hatch. It's just as simple as that. Once you figure out what you feel like they're going to be eating, then you start worrying about colors. Colors that in a clear lake that match the forage they're feeding on. In a lake that's got more color, or you're dealing with some cloudy conditions, rainy, then you start worrying about trying to get something that's just more visible that they can see. There's so much out there now where you can really study up on a lake and learn a lot online about it. There's a lot of lakes that post tournament results. We do that still. It's a great way for us to study up on a lake we're going to. So with in an hour's time, you can go and study up on a lake, look at some fishing reports and get a real good feel and kind of put yourself on that lake. Even though you might be sitting at the house, you can kind of visualize and put yourself on that lake, sit down, do a little map study, and build you a good plan. It's going to pay big dividends when you get to the lake. You're not going to be lost. You're going to have a plan.
How often do you look at websites that have user generated data, like, you know, where it's just fish catches and not real fish reports? Like, do you ever go to a site like, I don't know, FishBrain?
I've done the FishBrain thing. You know, there's so many other species on there. You know, you never know what you're. But it was pretty cool. I've been doing this so long that I have found that I do better to kind of fish my strengths, and you know, you don't want to be closed-minded. That can be a fault. But I do want to find something that matches what I'm comfortable with. And the longer I've been doing it, the more I've been to these lakes, you know, kind of have a general idea. I just, you know, a lot of times I want to figure out maybe what's changed. You know, if I can find something about, if we're going to a grass lake, it would have been nice if I had found a fishing report that told me that the whole north end, the grass was garbage, you know, because that's normally where it goes down. And a lot of that stuff was garbage. And that's something, you know, I missed in my homework. You know, I'd spent a lot of time, but I didn't see that. But that's something that can help. If you can find, you know, a site, you know, there's a lot of places that have fishing reports. You got guides that do fishing reports.
Sure.
And I think, you know, what I have found that works best for me in the tournaments we go to is I gather as much of that as I can, but I don't let it overwhelm me. I still want to stay true to who I am, what I want to do. How can I implement that into my plan? Because everybody else can see that stuff too.
Right.
You know, so you kind of want to, at some point you do your own thing, because that's what can kind of set you apart from the crowd. If you do what everybody else is doing, you're liable to finish how everybody else is finishing. Exactly. So you really want to do, you know, try to put your own spin on it when you get there.
It's guidance, not gospel. So
yeah.
What else you got, T-Rex?
I just wanted to tell you too that, you know, I take everything in the box that I get every month, and I take it out in one day, and I try everything in that box just to see how they work out. And you know, this time of year, you can't go wrong with the spinner. But I took that net bait, the little Spanky, and paired it up with the a Ned rig on a medium heavy 15-pound P line. And just drug it along like it was feeding on the rocks about 4 or 5 feet off the water, and I was just crushing them all day. I actually am down to I only got like one left in the pack. They were just destroying it all day.
Nice.
So, and then, you know, you can't go wrong with the topwater Ragnar Cylon. You know, because I've been talking to you about it. I've just been killing it on that thing out here in California.
I think I have. Oh. No, I don't. But I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. That thing is phenomenal. I mean, I ended up buying 4 more full sets of them just so I had some for my travel pack, some for my boat, and then I gave my partner, who's been killing it too. We just been, the other day, that's all we threw all day before he busted the bottom off his engine.
This color, right? It's not the same bait, but it's this color. T-Rex.
I kind of like that. Yeah, that's it.
That color, right? Not that bait, but that color.
Seconds behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that color is just crushing it right now at Pine Flat.
Nice. All right. And then...
Go
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's my show.
I was just going to say, real quick, I know this is off the topic, but did you get to check out that last match for Ric Flair?
I kind of wish I hadn't.
Yeah.
It was, I want to remember Ric Flair the way that I want to remember Ric Flair. And that wasn't the version that I needed to see.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
All right. Well, I'm sure you have more callers. Greg, I appreciate all the information that you put out there. And I know Hannah said in the comments that she appreciated it. I just thought that was a really good question that she had asked, and it helps me out too. So
awesome.
anyway,
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate you coming on and talking to us.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And appreciate the tip on the Ned rig with a little Spanky. That's a good one.
So
T-Rex dropping the
I had a
knowledge.
great time.
Awesome.
I don't know about knowledge, but you know me, I'll try anything once.
There you go. All right, man. Thanks for calling in, bro.
All right.
All right. Let's.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny he mentioned that because one of the cup events, I did that same thing, and I was trying just a jig head with the swim bait on there, and these smallmouth, they wouldn't bite it, and all of a sudden I threw it out there and I let it hit the bottom.
Yeah.
I guess it was standing up on the bottom. I was using I wasn't using a Ned head, but a little jig head that made it stand up a little bit, and I started catching them. I ended up making it through sudden death because I did that. So maybe there's a little something to that.
Maybe. Let's. I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna put the phone number in the chat because I guess someone's asking for it. Maybe I'll pin that thing too. I did it. It's fine. All right. Let's go to. He still holds the record for the most calls into the show with 67. So we don't need anyone that's watched this show more than once knows who it is. So, oh my goodness. Now there's two. The FBI's watching me. All right, we're going to go to this one first. How's it going, bro?
Hey, Rick, what's going on?
How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, great.
How was your trip?
My trip was good. It was
Good.
It was either I need to be on vacation or I need to be on a schedule. I'm not really good at trying to do to work part-time and vacation. I just don't do it well, and the result is my friends suffer, especially if I'm going to see my friends, because then I sit there and I'm by the pool, but I got my laptop, and that doesn't really work for anyone. So I've learned my lesson. I'm never going to split time again. I'm either on vacation, I'm either on or I'm off.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not the best as far as scheduling things go.
Fair enough.
And hello, Greg. I had a question for you about fishing rivers. I'm not sure if you'd be able to answer it for me, but I'd really appreciate it if you give me some tips for that.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd love to. That's how I cut my teeth. Going way back. Yeah, going way back, we, I grew up on Lake Martin, but when I was a teenager, my buddy and I in the summer, we would go wade the shoals area above Lake Martin. It's kind of the headwaters. We'd actually wade these, it's kind of like trout fishing. You wade the rocks, and we're catching little small baits to eddies behind the rocks and things like that. And we were just catching. We have a little bass called a red-eye bass. They don't get very big, but they're mean as a snake. And we would catch those red eyes and bluegill and things like that. But that's really where I learned to understand current, because the lake I grew up on, Lake Martin, there's really not much current, only wind generated. But when I got in, to college, I started fishing the Coosa River more. And so you still got me? I'm sorry, you still got audio?
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh-oh. He's frozen. Oh, no. All right, so let me answer the question. I'll give everyone my professional opinions. Oh, he's back. I guess I can't share my secrets.
Right. We're back. So, sorry about that.
No worries.
But anyway, what I was going to say is on rivers, it's all about current, and it's the speed. So you're looking for the speed of the current that you're looking for, and then something that creates an eddy, a little break. And that can be a rock, it can be a tree that sticks out, it can be a point. And you're picturing that water flowing by that object and how it's going to respond as it hits that object. The fish are trying to get the best meal for the least amount of effort. So generally, they're going to sit in an area that they're not having to fight the current, but that food's coming down that conveyor belt to them. So generally, that's going to be an eddy. Anything that creates a little eddy like that rock, They'll sit just behind it, but really close to where the current's washing by to ambush, prey. In our deal, a lot of times it's shad. So crankbaits, swim baits, spinner baits, things like that, and we're banging it off of that cover that's creating that eddy. And,
what's an eddy?
An eddy is where that water gets redirected as it runs. If you've got a big rock, and that water hits it, as it runs into that rock, it's got to go around one side or the other, or over, or all of it. And so if that water is coming into that rock this way, that fish is going to sit right here. Let's get in the right. That fish is going to sit here, and he's going to wait to ambush that prey as it comes around. The same thing applies to a point. If a point sticks out, the water hits, it kind of rolls into that point. It goes around the point and also over. Sometimes they'll be on the top of the point on the front side if there's not too much current. Sometimes they'll be on the point where it rolls around, and then if they're not as active, they'll sit just on the backside. So when you get a bite in current, it's real important to you can see this a lot of times. If you got enough current, you can see what that water is doing, picture what's going on underneath. One of the little tips I'll give you is, like I talked about that rock being out in the current. A lot of times you'll be fishing in that current and you'll see a swell in the water. A lot of times that's a rock on the bottom where that current's hit it, it's rolled up and it's creating a swell. And one thing you want to remember is a lot of times where you see that swell, that rock that's creating that eddy is in front of that, because it's taking time for that water to roll up to the surface. So the rock actually that you're trying to target with your bait, it's going to be a little bit forward up current of that swell. But it's all about, reading that current, trying to trigger those bites. Sometimes if you're using plastics, like, we use a shaky head and a T-Mac or something like that, or a jig, we call it washing it. So you're actually casting it sort of up current and feathering the line and letting that bait kind of wash into that rock or tree or whatever it is. And you're just kind of, kind of training it along and letting it just kind of wash by that rock. It drift. That's right. That's right.
Kind of like when you're fly fishing.
Okay. Absolutely. But it's on the bottom. Most of the time those fish they're not suspended in that current. So they're going to hold tight to the bottom. So, a jig, a crankbait, a spinner bait kind of fluttered on the bottom, something like that can work really good.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything in specific to look for as far as, like, I'm sure a 1-pounder will sit behind a rock and try to feed there and, eat whatever bait fish or crawdads are washing past that rock. Is there anything specific I should look for that tells me that there is possibly a bigger quality or a better quality fish behind that rock or behind the stump or in the laydown?
That's a great question. And, you got to remember, the big fish are the boss. They get the prime cover. There might be areas where you got little schools of fish. If there's one lone stump right on a point, you've already got an eddy created, kind of a current wash created by that point. Then you got a big stump or maybe a laydown laying right there where that water washes into it and it's all gnarly and it's got stuff washed up into it, sticks and things like that. That's where those big fish get. They're going to get the prime habitat where they get the easiest meal. They're going to get the good stuff. So that's where you want to go for those big ones. You got to go in there after them. Where we fish, we've got a lot of the spotted bass, and the big spotted bass they're not. They kind of mix with the stripers, but they're not scared of them. The big spots are not worried about stripers. They'll get right in the mix, and they'll get the biggest rock down there with the strongest current hitting it. And it's so hard to keep a bait in their face, but that's where those big ones is where that strongest current is hitting that big rock and they can get an easy meal nonstop.
Okay. Well, that helps me a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
What'd Mom make for dinner?
And Rick, I was wondering, I was just going to tell you that. We had something called kielbasa.
I know.
I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it.
What do you think I live in a... Listen, I might be in Los Angeles, but I know what kielbasa is. Come on, bro.
Oh, I thought all you guys ate out there was like sushi and mini sandwiches or something. So, or seafood.
Listen, we might eat a lot of sushi out here, but nobody likes you know, Johnsonville brats like me. I like the ones with the cheddar in them. Those are the best.
Oh yeah, I like to melt my own cheese on them. That always tastes good. And then put them on a bun with a bunch of mustard and put some hot sauce on there. Always tastes great.
You lost me at hot sauce.
You don't like hot sauce?
No, I love hot sauce, but not on my cheddar.
Okay.
Whatever. I'll try it next time. I'll try it on Saturday night. I'm going to burn a bunch of wood in my backyard. All right, bro. Well, listen. Rick, go ahead.
Is there sometime I could give you a call? Sorry.
Yes, you can.
Because I think last time you said you needed some help with something, so.
You can call me tomorrow.
I'm ready whenever you are.
All right, call me tomorrow.
All right, sounds great.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you both.
All right.
Both of you have a great night.
Appreciate you. All right, let's, okay, we got 2 more calls. I feel like if I don't read some golden tickets, people are going to lose their mind. And so let me at least read a golden ticket and make somebody happy. All right, folks, it's time. Go get your golden tickets. And, you know, if you're wondering what a golden ticket is, well, then you haven't subscribed to Monster Bass, because every month I put an individually numbered golden ticket in the box. I call out the number, and if you've got it, I'll give you a bunch of crap from my garage. And I say crap because that's what my girlfriend calls it every single time she goes into the garage. She's like, and when are you going to get rid of all this crap in the garage? It's really not crap. I got rods, reels. Remember, I work for a fishing company. I get stuff sent to me all the time. I got some really good stuff. Just ask Marty the Party. He'll be on next. All right, the first number is D as in dog, 8155C12626. Let's get crazy and let's do another one. F6144D1140. You want a bunch of crap from a garage. Just email me at marketing@monsterbass.com. I'll answer it now, considering that Rafi's not here. Actually, maybe Brendan will be answering it starting tomorrow. Who knows? We'll have to figure that out now. Let's take this next call. He's been waiting 10 minutes, and he knows where I am at all times because he's got classified G14 clearance, even though he's still not at the FBI. But go ahead, CIA.
Yeah, no, not FBI. Give me a break.
I know.
I don't even want to be associated with them right now.
Good stuff.
So, this is Marty Lawson, and Greg, I'm going to be heading down to Huntsville, Alabama here in about less than 2 weeks.
Awesome.
My brother-in-law has a place on up there near that like the Honeycomb area. Are you familiar with that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, you know, it's a little less traveled than the main lake. So we're going to be out there, and I have my wife's son and my grandson out there, and we're going to be doing a little bit of fishing. What would you recommend, you know, here in another 2 weeks? What would you recommend if I just want to put a grandson on some fish?
Oh, wow. Guntersville's a good place to do it, you know, and a good place to catch a big one. You know, the net bait, the salt lick. Now we've got one in the bait field called the Ion. You can get out on these. You can get on those grass edges. You can do it in Honeycomb. You can go to any of those creeks, find a good hard grass edge. You got to remember, Guntersville's actually on the Tennessee River, so there is current. It looks like a big lake, but there is current, and not only on the main river, but when they pull water, that water also pulls out of those creeks, like Honeycomb, like Browns Creek, like Seabold, all the above. So you can get on a sort of a creek ledge, a creek drop on that grass edge, and man, just use a lightweight or go weightless and let him pull it along through that grass. Those fish are in that grass. If you can find some good, healthy grass, I haven't been up there in a little while. Usually, if you can find some hydrilla milfoil mix, it's golden. Now there's a lot more eelgrass that's come on up there. The fish have finally learned what eelgrass is and started using it. So you're going to be in a great area of the lake right there. Actually, some of the biggest fish on the lake live around there. I made a top 12 right there at the mouth of Honeycomb several years ago in a Bassmasters event. get on those drops with that ion or salt lick, weightless, or maybe try adding a little weight if it's easier for them to cast, and be really easy for them. Just pull it through there. The other option is a shaky head. You can get out there with a shaky head, a netbait T-Mac, and if you can find some little hard spots, but you have to spend a little more time on your graph looking for those out there off the river. I really think his best chances are getting on those grass edges and just staying on that edge. Now, if you're going to be here in a few weeks, they're going to start dialing in on the bait. We were talking about the little spanky earlier, and those fish they start schooling on small bait fish, and that's a whole nother ball game there, where you can actually rig that little spanky Texas rig, pull it through that grass on a light Texas rig, and it looks like.
What about rigging a drop shot for him?
I don't do that with the little spanky as much, but the STH crush worm is golden. So did we cut out again? Sorry.
Now you're here.
No,
Still got me?
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm wondering, what color would you try and go more towards the bluegill pattern or more towards?
Oh, wait a minute. He's frozen now, Marty. He's frozen.
Oh man.
Yep. That's it.
Yep.
No more fishing tips.
All right, Rick, I'll ask you. Bluegill pattern or shad patterns at Guntersville?
Shad pattern. Let's see what Greg says. Greg.
All right. So
shad pattern or bluegill pattern on Guntersville?
I would go with the shad that time of year. We're getting into that part where they're getting on the bait fish. So yeah, definitely the shad patterns are going to be good, and that time of year, those fish will show themselves. So keep your eyes open. You'll see them pushing bait around. That's a dead giveaway. You can find a load of fish on, if you get a few of them to bust the surface, there's usually a whole lot more there than what you see on top.
Very cool. Hey, one other thing for Rick, just to let you know.
Yes, sir.
About 2.5 weeks ago, I caught my first bass on the Tokyo rig that came in last month's box.
Yeah.
That was awesome, and I've been perfecting that, and now I've probably caught about 15 really nice bass on the Tokyo rig. So the box is made me try something different, and I really like it.
Awesome.
I'm pairing it up with a Kitech Easy Shiner.
Sure.
It's a bigger one, 5.5 inch. It's working great. And of course, this month, the Ned rig and a little spanky and stuff. I'm going out this weekend. I want to try that little spanky because I've been getting a lot of bites with that watermelon red flake in a trick worm and things like that. But it's really weird. I'm getting it as I'm reeling in. So I'm thinking I'm going to put that on a small little one of your Monster Bass EWG rigs.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to swim that, bouncing it off the bottom along those weed edges and see what I can do. I hopefully will tear it up this weekend.
Love it.
And, hey, keep doing what you're doing, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Marty. You have
a great night.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in, and I always appreciate your support, so thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
That's Marty the Party. And I don't mean Marty Robinson. That's Marty Lawson. So, it's a lot.
Hey, I thought about something. Marty was talking about that little spanky and then biting it. This happens to me a lot when I've got it with an open hook on the jig head. Is that little boot tail? They love that little boot tail. They love it so much that a lot of times they bite that first before they eat the whole bait.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be patient and feel those fish load up before you set the hook. A lot of times the first thing they do is they grab that boot tail and they stop it. Your hook's in front of it, and you can set the hook, take it away from them. Sometimes they'll come back, sometimes they won't. But if you can give a little bit of pause, keep your retrieve going, feel that tick, and if you feel steady pressure, you feel that load, then you're ready to go. You get a whole lot more hookups.
Smash the like button. There's another one. I mean, it's like mic drop time and time again.
Learn that from experience, in a bad way.
Do you have time for maybe one more call or?
Oh yeah, shoot.
Two. All right, let's. Not sure who this is. 18 calls. Who could this be? All right. Go ahead, caller.
Hello there, Monster Bass family. It is Mr. Gambit 2000, my man. Happy summertime to you. Hello there, Greg. Glad you could join the Monster Bass team today and come on into the house. Good to see that you're in the place. And sorry about Cayuga, man, but I told David Walker the last time he was on the channel that sometimes you just got to watch out for what those other guys are doing. Trust me, Dustin Connell, you know, he's a buddy with Jay Will. And trust me, he knew how to outspot him getting bass. I watched most of that tournament, and he definitely outspotted him getting most bass, saying, I got to make sure I get at least 15 to 20 more bass than Jay Will so he can't catch me. I'm going to tell you, use that logic, my man, and you will get fish every time when you go against those guys, especially in the summertime. It's almost junk fishing. Rick gives out a lot of stuff in the box now that everybody can do that all throughout the summer. You get to try things out of the box you never tried before. I'm telling you, my man, that's one of those tournaments. I don't see how many people that they can't get to tune in and watch that thing every time they come on and start streaming, because it's very interesting to see what every angler does at each time and says who's going to get them and who's going to get them right away first. And that's the best thing about watching that Major League Fishing in your segment, how you guys are doing those bass at that time. Now, I'm going to tell you, I heard you say you're in Lower Alabama. Take it from a guy. I grew up in Georgia, spent at least 18, 19 years there before I moved to California. How are the mosquitoes treating you in Lower Alabama? They must be biting you, and what you use it.
Oh man, you know, they've had all summer to grow, so they're like helicopters right now. I just try to keep moving. You know, you got to keep moving. You know, or you got to load up with some deep, or you got to keep moving. That's the only options. That's why I've been fishing.
Exactly. That's why I kept moving.
You got to keep moving. Yeah.
That's why I kept moving. I'm telling you, I got on a Greyhound bus and got the hell out of there. I moved so fast getting out here in the 80s.
That's good stuff.
I'm going to tell you, that's what I mean. I kept on moving because even when I go back to visit in the summertime, that's why I don't like going back to visit in the summertime. They find me and go, we missed you. And they start to bite and I go, yeah, you ain't going to see me long, damn it. I'm getting out of here.
Me too, brother. Me too. They know when I'm in town. They all swarm me. That's good stuff, dude. Yeah, we joke about that. Our format, you know, it pushes you to your limits. Like you know, it's not enough just to catch some good fish. You gotta catch them all day, and you gotta catch them steady. And we call it you got to put your foot on the gas. You got to keep it there. That's the only way to keep up. It's the only way to stay up. And it really pushes you as an angler, you know, to have more tricks up your sleeve, to have more options, to be open-minded. And I think I've become a better fisherman in the few years I've been doing it, just for that reason, because it just pushes you to the limit.
And that's what I like about it, man. It tests everybody's mettle who fishes. That means you got to figure them out. It forces you to figure them out. And see, that's why, you know, I'm on the Monster Bass, you know, sub-team here. Rick is doing the pushing out things. He's trying new stuff all the freaking time with Monster Bass. Rick, you got to give me a thumbs up. You got to say yay or nay. I got the email. I got the text on the new stuff you're doing. If you want me to promote it right now, let me know. I'll go ahead and put out what they sent me today. You may not even know yet. You know your Monster Bass team reads your mind and puts stuff out, you know, before you even figure it out. So you ready for me to go? Give me a yay or nay.
I don't know what went out today.
Okay, I'm going to let you know what they did.
Okay,
go
for it.
You haven't on that Monster Bass team. Here we go. You got to be on the Monster Bass team because Rick is losing his mind and some of the people on his team is losing their mind. Rick sent me something today. I was like, what the frick are they doing today? Rick says, I'm giving you $100. I'm like, $100 for what? Well, $100 if you get that Monster Bass annual membership, we're going to give you back $100. That means I was like, what the hell? Rick is giving out $100 for people to get an annual membership? I'm like, oh my God, man, people got to be on that Monster Bass VIP list. If you're not on that Monster Bass VIP list, you don't get the text. You don't get the email. You don't know what he's sending. Join that Monster Bass VIP list. Go to monsterbass.com, jump on that list, and make sure he sends you something because Rick did something new today. The thing he was telling you about, Rick's been buying little bait companies, lure companies. Other email I got this in a text, Rick. You know what they sent me? This is what they said. You said, here is a top water box, free shipping. 4 top water baits in that text. Did you see that? That's the thing that you got to let them know that You join the Monster Bass VIP list. You get on that instant text. Rick will send you a text. He'll let you know how many he got. And then you get to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many sets of what you want? Rick will send it out automatically. That means this is automatic. I'm going to send you some baits. Now, if you got that bait addiction, Rick is taking care of the bait addiction. So if you're taking your baits and using it like crack, this is the best way to get your baits. Rick is taking care of my bait crack addiction. Help me, please. Somebody help me, please. I'm just messing with you.
I gotta tell you, first of all, I appreciate that. Secondly, that company that I bought, we got to remember, it's different. It's not Monster Bass. Two separate. In fact, I'm not going to have anything to do with that company. I hired a marketing company. They're going to sell the e-commerce stuff for outlet bait and tackle. It's all going to be run separately. So you got to sign up for 2 lists. So you're on both. That's why.
That's good to know. So people, you heard it here from Rick first. There's 2 separate companies. They send you those lists. You got to be on those lists before you know what you're going to get. If you're not on the list, it's like lotto. If you know you're not in it, you know you're not going to win it. You got to be on the list to get that link.
There you go.
So join that Monster Bass team and get your information put in. And man, it's been a good summertime. I can tell you, I gave my youngest son, we did a little surprise birthday party for my youngest son before him and his wife went on their vacation, man. If you haven't ate down to Paul Martin down in El Segundo, Rick, I'm going to tell you, go down to Paul Martin. No. They got the good ribeye steak with the mashed potatoes. They got the deep fried shrimp.
All right, just so we're clear.
Unbelievable food, my man.
You're on crack. That is not. You had me up to this point, going over, having the barbecues, going over to the kids' house and stuff. But if you're going to direct me to Paul Martin, then I'm going to have to second guess every recommendation you've ever given me.
I know, my man. I know that they picked it out, and I ate like a fat rat, man. When I tell you, it was like having you ever had an eating coma where you ate so much good food you thought you were going to pass out? Yeah. I was eating so much good food, I said, I got to get the hell out of here. I'm going to pass out.
Thank you. All right.
You know what? Like I said, I'm with that Monster Bass family, guys. Good talking to you, Greg. I love what you guys are doing, man. Keep it up. Just know, when those fishes start to biting and a guy gets a 15-point lead, a 15-bass lead, you go, all right, time to stop messing around. Let me go pull out everything in my tackle box and throw that shit in the water until something bites, damn it. Something's got to bite. Just do it to a frantic and you'll figure it out quickly. Have a good one, brothers. Love you guys. Take care.
Hey, I need his number. I need his number to get me fired up the night before I go fishing.
I got to tell you.
Maybe during the period break when I'm out there stinking it up, he could.
I don't know. I don't know how he can talk for so long without breathing. And he's a grandpa. He's a grandpa.
It's good.
He's got the energy of the Ever-Ready Bunny. So I mean, Energizer Bunny. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna take one last call today. I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you taking time to do this today. It's been a really great show. Like there's a lot of guys that can fish, but not a lot of guys that can communicate really well. And today was a great show. I learned a lot, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much. And on behalf of all of our viewers today, honestly, thank you. This was a really great show. So let's take our last call. I don't actually know who this is. 2 calls, Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Oh, we lost him.
Shut up. Ah, garbage. Rafi did it. Rafi did it. All right, let's take this last call.
You're getting to the good part. I was getting all the compliments, and then it just stopped. And I was like, oh, man, it was getting good.
Yeah.
Getting good. Well, I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed this. I can always talk fishing. If I'm not fishing, the next best thing is talking fishing. So.
All right, great. I'll see you every Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. I'll tell my wife.
I'm sure she'll love that. All right, go ahead, caller. I think you're on the air.
Greg, how's it going, guys? It's Chef Tony.
Oh, Chef Tony. How's it going?
All right.
Pretty good. How about yourself?
It depends. What, are you making something for us to eat?
Currently at the moment, no. I ran a little late today. I was out fishing, so I didn't get to make anything for dinner.
All right.
If there was ever a good excuse, that would have worked.
Sure.
That would have worked.
But we landed a few bass, a couple bluegill, and about 8 trout. So we got to fire up the smoker tomorrow and get those trout on the smoker.
Ooh, I like that. So you got a
All
question?
right, questions for you, Greg.
All right, man, shoot.
I ask everyone, what's your death row meal?
Oh.
If you're on death row, your one last meal, what would it be?
Oof.
Oh, that's scary. You put it that way.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, man. You know, I love a good grilled steak. I mean, I love a good steak.
What cut?
Right.
Huh?
What cut?
You know, the filet is hard to beat. Filet's hard to beat, but I'm not. I mean, a good cooked steak. I'm not that picky. You know, it's got to be cooked right though.
How do you like it cooked?
It can't be overcooked, seared. You know,
Right.
a little bit of red, not much. I can't. You know, I don't want it mooing at me. You know, but a little bit of red, but seared. That's the best. But you know, it's a toss up because
Nice crust on the outside, medium center.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Oh, you're a chef. You know,
Yeah.
you can probably get it right.
Yep.
But, hey, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like some good old fried crappie fillets. Oh, that's
There
the
you go.
best.
I've never had that.
Oh, you gotta have it, man. That's the best.
It's a big thing around here. The Amish love it.
It's golden, man. You know, I always heard that walleye were, you know, it's probably a big debate. You know, that the walleye was the best eating fish. I'm telling you, man, fried crappie fillets, they're like clear. You know, especially they come out of a lake like
Right.
Lake Martin, Clearwater. I mean, when they're just they're so clean, and they're like just a little fresh little potato chip, man. They're just so good. Some ketchup. You don't need anything else. You don't need all the hush puppies. You don't need the fries. That's just filler, man. You just need a good old pile of fresh crappie fillets.
Mm.
That would be a tough decision. That was scary the way you put it, though.
Yeah. It was.
Scary the way
Sorry
you-
about that. That's just kind of how.
Yeah, I was trying to think. Oh,
Just kind of how I word it. It kind of makes people think.
yeah, it got me.
I like that question. I mean, that's all you got? You just want to know what's going to happen if he's on death row?
I like to know what everybody's death row meal is. It just kind of
Yeah,
says
man.
who they are as a character based off of their death row meal. So
All right. I'd like to thank Chef Tony for ending us on a positive note today.
I gotta ask Tony a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because
What's up?
we don't have any trout. We don't have any trout around here. What's the best trout recipe? Give me your best trout recipe. Shoot.
I'm a stickler for just putting it on the smoker and smoking it and then shredding it up and eating it like that, or making like a dip with cream cheese out of it and dipping chips in it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I got a few recipes for trout.
Nice.
Is
Thanks,
it,
man.
Chef Tony, is it the same pretty much? Like you could use just any kind of white fish and smoke it and...
Yeah, you can with any white fish.
Got it. All right.
I'd try that with crappie.
You should. It'd be good. I don't see why it wouldn't work. Anything's good with smoke, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You smoke a flip-flop and give me gravy, I'd eat it.
Oh. On that note... Oh, my God. All right, Chef Tony.
I'll let you guys get going. I know you got stuff to do. Greg, thank you for coming on and talking to the Monster Bass family and teaching us a lot of great things. Rick, get a hold of me. Talk about what you wanted to talk about the other day. Come up with a time frame, whatever, but I'll text you.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right,
Appreciate
guys,
it, bro.
good luck out there, tight lines, and stay safe.
All right, thanks. He just dropped like every cliche ending that you could say goodbye. Didn't he say tight lines, cheers? What else did he say? Peace out. Goodbye. Later. Anyway, well, man, thank you. Like I said before, this was a great show, and I really enjoyed the conversation, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day. What's the next event, Mille Lacs?
Yeah, we are headed to Mille Lacs.
Good time of year.
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to be spending the next the whole September of my life is going to be in Minnesota. Yeah. So we got a few different things going on up there. So probably letting a little bit of the cat out of the bag, but the GT Team Series that we're doing is kind of a new gig coming out. Go check it out on Major League Fishing, but we're fishing in teams of 3. We're talking to each other. So
that'll be exciting.
One of those is going down in Minnesota. Of course, that'll be a made-for-TV thing, so it'll come on later on. But
sure.
Anyway, yeah, I'm pumped, man. I'm ready to go catch some of those Mille Lacs brownies.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, listen, wish you the best of luck, and hope you'll come back sometime and chat with us. And I hope that the remainder of the season goes really well for you.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on, Rick.
All right. Thank you.
Monster Bass boxes.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you later.
All right. See you, buddy.
All right. Bye. Man, that was Greg Vinson. That took me by surprise a little bit because, I don't know him personally the way that, some of the guests we've had on before that I do know. And, there's guys that can fish, and then there's guys that can talk about fishing, and that guy can do both. And so when we get guests like that, man, it's so good. So good. I learned a lot. It's good to be back. I missed you guys, and I'm excited about next week. Why? Because I'm going to be back. I don't know who the guest is going to be, but I'm going to find somebody good. If you haven't subscribed to Monster Bass, sign up. I don't know what you're waiting for. Let me get you the last 2 golden tickets. We got to get Jared out of here. He's got a hot date, and we got to be respectful of his time too. So, anyways, golden ticket Z6475, Z10394, and R9769, M9821. Something I'm going to do next week. I always call it golden tickets. I never talk about the winners, so I'm going to start naming some of the winners because you guys have been helping me clean up my garage. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of you. We can actually get my car in the garage. True. I never had the car in the garage before. I was always afraid it was going to hit the top too. But anyway. So what did we learn today? We learned a lot about the NetBaits little spanky. We learned that Mr. Gambit doesn't breathe very often, and we've learned that I've never eaten crappie. We wish we hadn't have seen Ric Flair's last match, and Brendan likes his steak like he likes shoe leather. Weird. Anyway. It was great to see Gramps back and recovered from COVID. Congratulations to Hannah for crushing her new personal best, 10.7. Ridiculous. And Greg, our boy, he wasn't on tonight, but Greg caught a 4-pounder and took first place in last weekend's fishing tournament, and he sent me the picture. So I'm really grateful for that. And then last but not least, it was great to see Rafi for a little bit. And So, wait, you guys cleaned out his garage? Wait, Rafi's cleaning out his garage? Anyways, it was great to see him too. So, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Love you guys. And thanks for, is there anything else I'm supposed to give away? We're done? Are we done? All right, go drink Liquid Death. It's good for you.